What is it like to go through the law school application process, not just once, but twice? And what if you're also an immigrant, someone that's new to the US law school system? Today, we are joined by one of my former students, Ebele, who is going to be talking to us about her journey, her law school path, and also share some advice that she's learned along the way. Today, I am so excited because we're going to be joined by a former student of mine as she talks through her law school application journey. What is it like to apply? What is it like to be a reapplicant? And you'll find out from her where she ended up this cycle. I'm so excited for you to share in this journey with us. So I am going to bring on one of my former students, Ebele, and she is going to explain a little bit about her journey and tell us a little bit about herself.
Hi everyone, my name is Ebele. So I am Ghanaian and Nigerian. I came to the United States, I want to say maybe 8 years now in 2014 with my mother and my brother. I went to the University of California, Santa Barbara. So I lived in California for those 7 years. And I graduated with a major in sociology and a minor in history and professional writing. Um, I graduated in 2021, June 2021. So I have been on my gap year, which I used to just rest, recuperate, prepare for my law school application cycle, and spend some time with my family.
Awesome. I am really excited too because I know that this cycle has definitely been very interesting for you. Why don't you tell us a little bit about where you're planning to go to law school in the fall?
So I am 99%. I just need to like honestly do the paperwork. But I will be probably committing to Yale Law School today. I'm super excited, and honestly, life is funny because I did not see this coming at all. Applied to Yale super late in the cycle, but I just kept on hearing the words of the dean, like, don't say no to yourself, don't count yourself out, just try it out. And then I did, and I got accepted, and I visited, and I loved it. So that's where I'll be going this fall.
I'm so excited for you. It's been a journey, and I know for you, your cycle actually started 2 years ago. Why don't you tell us a little bit about your law school journey?
It's been a long 2 years. But wanted to go, like, I wanted to be a KJD, and that's when you go straight through from undergrad. And so, but my senior year, I was juggling a lot. So I was still completing research, I was working, I was having a full course schedule, and then it was the pandemic, right? So there was too much going on. But I'm very optimistic, which you all should be. So I try to apply last cycle, which I ended up doing. I took the LSAT twice, and I applied. I want to say to 12 schools. It didn't go too well. I got waitlisted from like seven, rejected from like three, and I got two acceptances. Um, and nothing wrong with the schools I got accepted to. I just ultimately felt like I wouldn't be the happiest in those schools. After talking to some current students and thinking about like my goals and where I want to be and even where I want to spend the next 3 years of my life. Um, so instead of accepting those offers, I reevaluated my application. I was like, where did I go wrong? Right? Because I did the work in undergrad, I have the good GPA, I have the good letters of recommendation, I believe, because these were professors that I worked with and I had good relationships with. So I think to me, the main part was maybe I wasn't telling a cohesive story, or I didn't have the right scores to get me to the schools where I felt would help me the best. So after talking to a few students who got off the wait list, some students who reapplied, and some students in the schools I got accepted to, I decided that ultimately I wouldn't be the happiest if I rushed into law school. I had time, and I was lucky enough to be able to come home, live with family, take the summer off. Honestly, majority of the year, study for the LSAT again, and reapply, and I'm so glad I listened to my gut because I had like my two cycles are like night and day, right? So last cycle I'm getting all the wait lists and rejections, but in this cycle I applied to 13 schools. I have 10 acceptances, like one wait list, and one is still pending. But at this rate, I don't even mind because I've already accepted, and even in those like offers, I got three full ride opportunities as well. So I would say I'm grateful that I learned patience during this cycle, and I ultimately asked myself, what do I want and how can I achieve it? Yeah.
I love that. And I think that's a really important note about patience because so often I'm telling students, don't rush the process, don't rush the process.
Mm-hmm.
I
Mm-hmm.
say you don't make long term decisions based on short term emotions. I feel like that's
Absolutely.
something I told you. you know,
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, this is a long, even to decide, it's a long term decision. Like
yeah.
after you get these options, you still need to make sure you're making the right decision. Yeah.
Absolutely. And so what I love that you are really just evidence of what happens when you take your time and the blessings
Hmm.
that can open when you do the cycle right. Now, I'd love to know through
Absolutely.
what were you most nervous about this cycle and maybe how did you overcome some of those anxieties?
Yeah, so apparently 2020 cycle was one of the most competitive one. 2020 to 2021. I don't know why. Sydney can give you the logistics
I
as
can
to
tell
why
you
it was one
why,
of the
don't worry.
most competitive cycles, the combination of the pandemic and people need scrambling to find what to do. So I was scared that there was a trickle down effect of people that were probably in my position last year and also decided to reapply. So I was like, okay, well, maybe this cycle is going to be as competitive, right? So I need to make sure that in the time I have, I am maximizing every resource and I am not perfecting, but honestly perfecting my application because these admissions, the admissions committee they have already seen my story, they have already seen the package, and they saw it like less than a year ago. So if I'm going to present myself to them, how can I retell my story in the best way, or how can I do it better than I did last year? So I think that was one of my concerns and something that made me nervous because I was coming home to take a break. Like I don't know if you all know the timeline, but I ultimately decided to withdraw from my wait list around like I want to say somewhere around this time, April, around April 15 ish. And then I was still in school and I'm like, do I enjoy my senior year or do I go straight into LSAT, right? But I did take a break and then I came home June, July. So I'm like, I'm not doing anything phenomenal to add to my resume. I need this time, I need to invest this time. So I was really anxious about retelling my story in a good way and really intentional about being honest with myself in terms of the LSAT. I think that usually when you're used to getting good grades in school, you're like, okay, but I'm studying, it's not working. So just being really introspective and like, what are you studying wrong? What can you do differently? Where are some places you've been slacking at, and how can you really make sure this break you took wasn't a waste of time. So I did put a little bit of pressure on myself, I'm not gonna lie. But I also was praying a lot and I had a lot of faith that when I wake up every day and I'm putting in the work, that there's gonna be reward at the end. And it ended up happening.
Absolutely. I think that, I mean, that prayer is one of the things that I pray over my students as much, but I think that you cannot control everything, right?
True.
You can only control what you can control. You cannot control the other applicants. You cannot control the strength of the applicant pool. You can only control what you can control and how strong your application is. And I think that's really important that you just focused on, let me invest this time in myself. What
Hmm.
other supports did you get throughout the law school application process that helped you?
A lot. I think don't do it by yourself. So as a first generation and low income, first in my family to be a lawyer, no one in my circle knew anything about law school, and even no one in my college circle knew much about law school because like I was getting a lot of PhD advice. And while they're kind of similar, they're also a little different. So while I, appreciated the people in my undergrad that were supporting me, I knew I had to outsource and find people that I expect in this field because like yeah, they're used to telling me you're a good writer, blah blah blah. But like am I writing the best personal statement for a law school application? So that was the first thing I started doing, was to ask around about consulting. And that's when I came across Sydney. I did go through a couple people that didn't work out, but again, you need to shop around. And I guess one advice I would give about consulting is to ask yourself, how best do you work and how can you improve? Do you want something that's more holistic, someone that you can have a conversation with, bounce ideas off, or do you just want someone that's doing copy editing, um, and like, very direct services? So you just ask yourself, what do I need? Where are my weaknesses and how can I get help? So that's what I did. I wanted a more holistic support system. I like to talk and have conversations, bounce ideas off, like tell you my story and give you an idea of where I'm coming from. And that is what I got from Sydney, who helped a lot with my personal statements and my diversity statement. So while I didn't necessarily describe a new Ebele, it was the same person, but Sydney put into more perspective that what is the story we're going to tell, and treat the application as like a puzzle, right? So every essay was going to be a different piece of the puzzle. That's something she told me. So she said, well, your personal statement and diversity statement are good grammatically. You're no mistakes and it flows well. However, how can we make your personal statement more personal, tell a better story, and how can we use your diversity statement as another piece of the puzzle, right? To show the admission cycle another part about yourself. And that's something I didn't know before outsourcing. So I would say definitely outsource and get some support if you need it. um Reach out to, if you know other law students, like reach out to them, tell them to share if they feel comfortable their essays and stuff, just so you can have an understanding of what might work. Obviously, like everyone's story is different, so don't try to be like someone else. I read so many personal statements to the point where I couldn't even be like anyone else, but it gave me an understanding, especially maybe if some schools have specific essays. I know an essay I just wasn't sure what to do was the Yale 250, and it helped because Yale also has a package that they release out that you could look up like samples. So I did that, and then I also got tutoring for my LSAT. So I initially last year I did a class, and I think the class was helpful in. I did a Kaplan class, and it was helpful in getting the foundation, but it wasn't helpful in learning how to study. So where I found improvement in my LSAT was when I was practicing and knowing how to practice correctly, and not just knowing like the foundation. Like, yeah, the foundation is good, but you need to master these skills. So that's what tutoring helped with. And I did get some tutoring, and I'm so grateful to family who supported me, because it's really expensive, and that's something that puts other students at a disadvantage with the law school application process. But again, I found a lot of resources from Sydney's website. I got some discounts from some tutors. So please use that. Use your LSAC fee waivers if you have those. So it was consulting, tutoring, and then just talking to students and finding more. So I actually found out that I was eligible for LSAT accommodation. I didn't know that was a thing at all. And I don't know if it's because I always say I'm not from here, which I'm not, but like testing accommodations was not a thing in Ghana. So I was like, what? And I found out that I could get testing accommodations for migraines that I tend to get. I'm releasing them though. I want them to go away, so I'm not claiming them as my own. So I was able to get accommodations for that. And I didn't know about that until I talked to a student who disclosed that to me as well. So always ask for help, outsource. This is already too stressful to try to do it by yourself. So that's what I did. I sat down, I was really honest with myself, like, where am I falling short and how can I get help? And yeah, just admit it and then get over whatever feeling that brings, and then put your eye on the prize. How can we get here?
Absolutely. And I love that you mentioned the discounts too, because there are a number of services, whether it's tutors. I know we offer discounts if you have a
Yes.
waiver. There are some tutors that have discounts for students with LSAC fee waiver as well, and some resources. So definitely don't be afraid to even ask. I know we also have payment plans.
Hmm.
There are resources that might seem like, oh, that's so expensive. Oh, I can't do it. But, if you don't ask, you don't know if they're willing to work with you, if they're willing to,
Exactly.
just meet you where you are financially. And so I think that's
Yeah.
really important because that's something you really advocated for yourself.
Hmm.
And I was more than happy to kind of meet you where you were financially.
Literally, it was a quick turnaround. It's like, you're like, yep, this is what we have. And I was like, great, I need that.
Look, I understand. Like, I worked 3 jobs in college. I worked 3 jobs in law school, right? Like, I understand. I help support my family, so
Yeah.
I always understand what it's like for students. And you are right; it can be a divider between students who, I know some students who have two LSAT tutors, right? And and then some students can't afford, even a class. And so there is a lot of inequities there. And that's
Yeah.
something that we have to really work on in this
Hmm.
process, as a
Yeah.
profession. But I'm proud of you for like
Thank-
just looking and figuring out what can I do, what are my
mm,
resources, how can I
yeah.
maximize this? Because ultimately, if you invest and you did invest, it pays off.
I was going to mention that. So thank you for mentioning investment. And also, if I should add, I think another thing that really helped me was putting myself out there and joining law school groups. I know it can get a little overwhelming. I'm not going to lie. Just put them on mute if you're overwhelmed, but keep those relationships because I learned a lot. So, a law school group that I just stumbled across. For POC students last cycle. Even though I didn't go to law school, I learned so much from them. I learned so many resources. And anytime anyone would mention a resource, I had a notes app on my phone. I just put it in there for next year when I do it again. And some of them even offer their services. They're like, oh, I'm really good at the LSAT. I'm going to help you. Now, I did mine 4 times and I'm done. I can't help you with the LSAT.
But I'm not helping.
Exactly. I don't want to see it again. But some people are also doing that for even cheaper than the tutors that are out there. So definitely join a lot of law school groups, Facebook groups, a lot. You can never have enough resources.
No, I love that. And that kind of brings me to the next question is like, you've been very open about your background.
Hmm.
Immigrant, a Ghanaian. Um, what are other students, maybe they might be looking at this and they might be saying, wow, I really want to go to law school, but I'm also an immigrant. I maybe don't really know exactly how it works. Do you have any advice for just getting started, overcoming that kind of confusion or fear?
Honestly, my advice would be like, one, you need to believe in yourself and know like this is you're more than a conqueror. Like you can conquer whatever obstacle that is. It's hard, but tell yourself every day that I'm gonna do this. Like you're already done college. College is 4 years, and it's even more difficult because you're adjusting as a what now adult at 18. So you figured that out in college when you were even younger and you've come out successful. So just believe in yourself and like this cycle, I'm not gonna lie, the process can be a little what word disheartening and make you feel like you're incapable because it's hard. Like you're gonna be like, why am I not getting this? Why am I not doing this? It's gonna be difficult, but believe in yourself and again ask for help. I know it's really hard for SPSC to ask for help because you always feel like you're burdening someone else. Trust me, I'm still dealing with that. And but you never know until you ask. The worst they can say is no, and some no's might stink and you cry about it, but that's okay. Cross them off and go to the next person on the list and ask for help. So that's one thing I'm going to do. And again, like listen to your gut, listen to what makes you feel comfortable. Don't just do things because other people are doing it, or don't just be a follower. So for me, like a lot of people, a lot of my advisors were like, take the money and go to law school. That was last year. It's okay. You figure it out. You can transfer. And they had my best interest at heart. Don't get me wrong. But I had to listen to my gut and be like, what do I want to do? What is going to make me happy? So if I'll give you any advice, it would be have confidence, believe in yourself, pray about it. If you believe in God and you're Christian, if not, that's okay. Meditate, whatever is going to put you in your most calmest form. And then reach out for help and also pray or hope that the people that you're reaching out are also going to be supportive, right? So, like, if I'm like, okay, I really need a consultant, but I'm praying for someone that is actually going to work well with me, someone that I'm going to like connect with. I'm going to reach out to the student mentor and I'm praying that this is going to be a fruitful connection. So I think that's something I would say. And yeah, that's my advice.
No, that's really good advice. And it's important too because sometimes the people in our corner, um, not that they don't mean well, like you said, they mean well, but I always say sometimes, like God or the universe, if you don't believe in God, like they give you a vision, they give you a vision, but they don't give everyone else around you the same vision.
Yeah.
And so, you might be hearing, oh, you don't need to take out this loan, or, it's fine. You'll just go here. It's fine.
Hmm.
And if you have that, no, I feel like I'm called for something higher. I feel like I can do better. I feel like I want more. And you really feel that, sometimes you do have to listen to your gut,
Yeah.
because I know a lot of students who sometimes their family doesn't get it, right? And
Mine doesn't.
but that's just like the reality, right? It's like not everyone comes from a community that understands, and it's not to say anything bad about the community, right? It's
Hmm.
just everyone can only give you advice for what they know. And if
Yeah.
you're going on a path that's new, if you're the first on your family to go on this path, you might need to get advice from outside of your community. My mom always tells me this about business. I like talk to my mom about, all the
Hmm.
business and the ed tech stuff. And she's like, I don't really understand.
Yeah.
She's like, but I'm here to listen. And I love
Hmm.
my mom, right? But she's like very upfront about the fact that like, I might not be the best person to give you that.
Yeah. To help.
Never been in your shoes. You've never
Yeah.
experienced that. And so I think
Hmm.
that's helpful for students to remember sometimes that you want to also just get advice for people who have been in your shoes or who understand your situation.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think another thing is that sometimes when you are looking at your peers that have all this familiar support, it might make you feel a little resentful. Like, oh, I wish this, I wish that. I think that, that thought comes through your mind sometimes that life would be so much easier if, they can help you with like your financial aid application and stuff like that. But just accept them for what they offer and appreciate the support that they can give. So for me, it was a walk with my grandma every morning, and she's like, "You got this." I don't know about this, but just just encouraging. My mom is always like giving me. She would always make sure I have food to eat. I feel good. And just like family, just here like telling you you've got this. Like appreciate that support that they can also offer. Like yeah, it might not be the logistics of law school, but they're also a shoulder to cry on and they're gonna like be there to support you and just hold on to that and then use that to fuel you to outsource to someone else.
Absolutely. Now let's talk about continued support, right? I want to talk a little bit about where you're going. So you're going to Yale in the fall.
Hmm. Yeah.
What is one thing that you hope to do or you plan to do to make that a smooth transition to your 1L year?
I think that one, I feel really rested. So I was lucky enough to be able to have a gap year. So I don't feel burnt out going in. So I think that that's one thing I'm doing is to pace myself. I did get a book recommendation. Someone told me to read Get Into Maybe. I will check it out. If that could help. But I think in terms of Yale, what I'm doing is trying to already establish relationships before I get there. And not just with newly admitted students in the Slack and stuff, that's cool, but with people that are already there. So I'm already like trying to establish relationships with current students there, that I know that, okay, like when I go, they'll be in their 2L year. They've already done this before. They recently just did this, so they can give me more guidance on how to navigate it. And also building relationships with admin and like knowing my go-to people, who is the director of financial aid. um, Maybe I might be in the office a few times because this is gonna be my first time taking out loans. Reaching out to professors, I know it's daunting, and sometimes, like honestly, right now, I'm like, I don't even know what to talk to them about. But I'm like, you know what? Maybe they don't even have that much high expectations of me because I'm a 0L anyway, so I can just walk in and just say hi and just establish those relationships. I think that would help in my transition. And in this summer, I did apply for the SEO Law Fellowship, and hopefully I get to do that. And that would also give me some tips. But if not, I'm also looking at maybe I don't know, some prep classes. Nothing too intense though. Just a little bit to make me feel like, okay, I have the foundation to start.
And I always tell students with prep, like prep classes, they could be great, they could not be, but also you'll be okay. Even if you don't, even if you just like want to sit by the beach this summer, like you'll be okay.
Yeah,
You're
okay,
not
good
gonna
to
go
know.
in super behind because I think you started to say I'm rested, and that's honestly very important. You don't want to go into law school burned out. You want to
True.
make sure that you have energy, you have rest. So if there's I know Harvard has a 0L class. I know that there's some other free. You don't need to spend a bunch of money on prep classes. It's not really worth it.
Mhm. Yeah.
But
Yeah, I was only gonna do it if I got a scholarship. It was free.
yeah, no, you
For
don't spend
sure.
a bunch of money on prep classes.
Yeah.
It can be helpful, but also just trust yourself. Like you were accepted. You have everything you need already to be successful.
Hmm.
What's the thing you're
Yes.
most looking forward to next year?
Um, I think I'm excited to be in a classroom because the last time I was in a classroom was like March 2020, because the end of my junior year and my whole senior year was online. So I think I'm excited to be in the classroom. I remember on my tours when we walked through the classrooms, I was like, oh, this is nice, especially because most law school classrooms are kind of like Socratic method style ish.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, I'm excited to be in a classroom, but I'm also excited to make lifelong connections. I think I met so many people that were already so nice, and I'm like, okay, wow, like this is like I'm moving into like the next stage of my adult life. I always say when I'm an adult, which I am, but I think I'm getting there to that level of adulthood, and I think it's really important for me to make lifelong connections. Right, these are people that I'm probably going to be working with. I'm probably going to be, I don't know, my best friends. I don't know, going to be in my wedding or something like that. And I think so. I want to make sure I'm making the right connections and meeting the right people. I think those are two things I'm excited about. And living in a new state, right? So and that would also force my family to leave California because since we immigrated to California, like we've been here, my grandma has been here for a lot of years. I don't even know how many years, but I know that once I'm out there, they're gonna miss me, so they're gonna come visit me, and I'm gonna be adjusting to a new state. So I'm excited about that too.
No, and you will make lifelong friends. I can tell you. I was actually for some reason watching an old like law school parody video. I was in parody
Oh, okay.
craft, and I was looking at the girls that I danced with, and I was like, we went to her wedding last year. We're going to her wedding this year. Oh,
Aw,
so it was basically that. I was like, wow, like these are really the people that I'm really close to right now, and so law school definitely. It's more than just 3 years. It's the rest of your life.
your life,
Especially
yeah.
Yale is a small community, so even more
Hmm.
so. Like you're gonna be knowing these people for the next 20 years.
Yeah. And I think that if you're an introvert, you're like, ooh. And I think I always describe myself as like an introvert extrovert, whereas like when I don't know people, I'm more like, I'm gonna stick to myself. But once I know you, then you get to know my personality. But I think that yeah, you're right. It is really small and more intimate, and it has its pros and cons. But I am excited to force myself to be intentional about the relationships I had and not be like freshman year me was me and my roommate are vibing, we gonna stay in this room. And that's pretty much what we did. Um and then my friends were always forcing me to come outside. Like I found my little circle and I didn't try to venture out too much. But this time I'm like, we're doing it.
Yeah.
Being more intentional about venturing out from my safe space, right? Because you never know who you're gonna meet and what connections you can make.
I love that. I love that. This has been absolutely amazing. Is there anything else you want to share with viewers or listeners?
Um, I think like to sum it all up, the law school process is inequitable. Just start there. So if you know you're there, just be like, the system is already like not in my favor. So let me not beat myself up about it. Because to be here means I'm already doing twice as much and I'm already doing so much better. So
Hmm.
if you start there, you know that, okay, it might look like you're not ahead of the race, but you've done a lot of work already to keep yourself afloat, right? And it's already really impressive. So knowing that, give yourself some grace. Because yeah, I was hard on myself, but there were some times I'm like, look, you're tired. you're putting in the work, take a break. Go paint with some friends. I don't know if you can see, I have a little bit of artwork. I like to paint when I'm stressed to release some stress, or take a break, give yourself some grace. And I know that in life, like when you put in the work, there's always going to be a reward. Obviously, it's hard to just hold on to that, but you should, because it works out. Again, I'm always like open to help as well. You can email me. I don't know if City has a description box, but
Yes.
I'll give her my email. You can email me. I think that for me, life is about paying things forward, and not about hoarding opportunities. I think that what is for you is for you. What is meant for you is meant for you. So I'm an open book. I would share as much as I can because people shared with me to help me get here. I didn't get here on my own. Um, but yeah, I also plan on documenting my law school journey. I
Oh,
want to
I love.
start a blog. Yeah, I got my domain a few weeks ago, and now I have to build the website. But once I do that, I would also share that with Sydney, and then I'll put it in, like, I don't know, anywhere. But find me.
We'll
Ebele
put
is
it
like
in
on
the
LinkedIn.
when the website's up. We'll add it to the description so that people can find you.
Yeah, I want to do that because I think that I've learned so much from doing this twice. I've learned so much, and I want to just help as many people. My undergrad, they're already connecting me with all the pre-law students. I'm like, yes, please do, so that they don't have to go through like my mistakes. You don't have to do it. You don't have to do it twice. You can do it once and get in and breathe. So yes, I want to start blogging. So maybe this will hold me accountable, and I paid that money for the hosting site, so I will do it. And then yeah, so reach out to me. I'm happy to share anything you need, sample addendas, sample, I don't know, LSAT accommodation letter requests, anything. And yeah, reach out to me and I'll help you. But be be kind to yourself,
Mm.
because this is going to be hard, and have people in your corner that are going to support you and remind you that there is reward at the end of all of this.
Oh, well, Abele, thank you so, so much. This was absolutely amazing. We will make sure to share all that contact information. We cannot wait to see how your journey goes. We may have to bring you
Me
back for
too.
the next year. But we are all wishing you all the best at Yale. And thank you so much for sharing your time and your journey with us today.
Thank you, Sydney. I never got to thank you, but thank you so much. I think I met you at the right time where I was just stressing out about how am I going to present my best self in these essays, and you came in, very much. You came in clutch, and you supported me. And you were like, the first meeting, you were like, "I'm going to pray for you." I was like, "I need that. Thank you." And I'm so grateful to have worked with you. I'm so grateful to build this relationship, and I can like always like know I can count on you, and
I'm
I can
always here.
refer people to you.
Always.
So yeah, even like yeah, thank you so much. I would definitely keep in touch with you as well, as I go through law school. Yeah, and keep you
Yeah.
updated.
Awesome. Well, thank you again, and we will see you soon.
Yeah. Goodbye, y'all.
Hopefully, this was helpful to you. If you liked this video, make sure you like and subscribe. And definitely share this with a friend. Share this with someone who needs to hear this story in order to feel confident and inspired on their law school path.